Nice.
We're live.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Limitless Evolution podcast. It is your hosts, Taylor and Nick, and we are joined by our friend Mike Nassif. Mike, I always screw up your last name. Nassif, right? Nassif. Okay, cool. Mike is a fellow pro level coach, just like your boys here. So we thought it would be a great opportunity for him to come on, for us to shoot the shit, kind of have just like a bro chat, and kind of just see what we talk about, see what pops up. So before we started recording, to the audience listening, we were talking about my cat that I just showed both of them. Dude, listen to this. Okay, so we're in Chattanooga, and our Airbnb was a cool Airbnb. And dude, Chattanooga is like 80% of Chattanooga is super sketchy, as you guys know. Okay, so it was a really good spot, cool yard. The houses around us were really weird though, and like really just like a hood like. And I got in late because I had like 6 hours worth of delays on Wednesday. So I land, they pick me up from the airport, we do the pump workout, we come back, we go outside to go smoke. And my athlete's girlfriend was like, "Hey, just so you know, there's a cat outside." I'm like, "All right." And she's like, "The cat won't come to any of us. The cat it's feral." I'm like, "Okay, that's whatever." We go outside, the cat's hiding, and then it comes out, and it would only come out like when I was there. It was so weird, bro. All right. So the thing started becoming super friendly. This cat that I just showed you, it was becoming super friendly, and it was like only letting, it was jumping on my lap when we were outside smoking. I was feeding it. Got a water dish for it. I was giving it water, and it was the funniest, friendliest cat ever, young cat. Okay. So then my girlfriend made just like the comment. She was like, "Hey, like bring it home to our other cats." And I'm like, "I mean, I could do that if you want me to, you know?" So then she was like, "Yeah, I mean, you could," but then she's like, "It's probably a bad idea. We don't know if it's going to get along with our other cat, etc." So then I was like, "All right." She thinks I'm not bringing it home anymore. I'm just going to surprise her. So I go do some research on what I need to do to fly back with this thing. And so I'm like, okay, I need to get a health certificate. I get the health certificate for the cat by going to a vet. They check it out, everything. And then I pay for everything. Okay. And then they're like, okay, her stomach is like really distended. She's young. We don't think she's pregnant, but we want to do an ultrasound and an x-ray on her torso to make sure nothing's screwed up in there, like her intestines aren't twisted, etc. So I'm waiting there and I'm like, yo, I got to get back to finals, because finals was about to start in like 30 minutes. So then I start to pay, and I pay for it. And then the radiologist comes out and they're like, "Hey, we just read the ultrasound and the x-ray. That cat's pregnant." And I'm like, "Fuck." Dude. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, what do I do here? Like, I'm an asshole if I just take this cat, I spent the money on it to get it, make sure it's healthy, then I just put it back out in the streets. I don't know, the shelter can't find a home for it. They can't store it. I don't know how the hell I'm going to get this thing adopted. So I'm like, all right, looks like I'm bringing it home anyway.
What the fuck? So you did all of this like show day?
No, it's just throughout the week.
Oh, I was about to say, what the fuck?
But I was only
That's
able to
crazy.
get in for the health certificate
Oh,
between prejudging and finals,
yeah.
which was easy. It was super
Yeah.
simple.
You're just trying to find someone to adopt now, or a shelter?
Well, we wanted to keep it, and we're like, okay, well, she can have her babies here. But then she loves me and my girlfriend, but she just isn't getting along with my other cats. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we called the Humane Society yesterday. They would take her in, but they'd have to see how far along her babies are, because they were like, hey, well, we have to spay her, but if she's a certain day in utero, then we would keep the babies. We would deliver them here. But then we got word literally 30 minutes ago from this cat rescue place where it's like a foster home. They find fosters for it, etc. They only have like a certain amount of pets at once so that they get along, and it's a good rescue place. We gave them the rundown about everything, and it's looking like she's going to have to terminate the pregnancy anyway, because cats this young have a shit ton of issues with young pregnancies. It's like 1 out of 20 cats this young dies from the pregnancy. And also too, like, the cat's not fully grown yet, so it doesn't have those those mother instinctual like habits of like, okay, she might reject the kittens when they're born, and then, well, shit, now if that's with us or with the foster home, now they have to nurture these kittens from day 1 all the way to week 8, so now her and I just made this decision. We're like, okay, it's putting her at risk for keeping her and having her have the kittens here, and they're either stillborns, they're mutilated, or she dies during pregnancy. That's not fair. So it's like, okay, well, at least we can give her to a place that specializes in this, and then she's still young enough where she'll be able to find a home. So, but yeah, dude,
That's crazy.
I don't get it, man.
That's probably a story of something that's never happened at a bodybuilding show before.
Never. So funny, bro.
That's funny.
We
That's
just
funny.
got 2 weeks ago, and I have a dog already. My fiance's had cats growing up, but dude, the fucker is crazy.
Is it how young is it?
He's 14 weeks. I mean, he's just like he's super sweet, and he's just like crazy attached, and like I'm working, and it's like he's walking on my laptop or like wants to sit on my shoulders, and it's like he literally won't get off, and it's like super cute. I love him, but I'm like, fuck, man, like just sit down.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah,
Dude, our dogs would absolutely mutilate a cat if we brought one in the house.
well,
There's no shot.
that's what I thought. And like the first night we brought him home, we were basically like holding back Rocky, and like the cat would fucking hiss at him when they would get close, and I was like, fuck, this isn't gonna. And that was my biggest fear, because like Gemma, she's in office, and like I'm working from home, and I'm like, I got to do my fucking job. I can't be chasing them around. And the next day they were like a little more chill, and every day they got a little closer, but now they like play with each other, and they'll sit on Rocky will like actually groom him, like he'll lick the cat.
Already, wow.
Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome, dude. Taylor, what kind of dogs do you got?
We have a Labradoodle and a Lab.
Okay, nice.
The Lab is 107 pounds, and the Labradoodle is 91 pounds.
So some good sized dogs for sure.
Very big, yeah. And we all sleep in the bed together, so yeah. Yeah. But my girlfriend Grayson is mad. Like, you can ask Mike. She's like obsessed isn't even the word with her dogs. Like, they're like literally everything to her. Like, so they get treated like fucking like kids that grow up in a rich environment or something. I don't know.
Bro, that is literally my girlfriend to our cats. She spends how much money do you think you spend on the food for our cats?
At least 200.
Like at least $200 of this pristine per month. And it's like
Yep.
canned food, raw food, vitamins, all this shit.
See,
and I'm like,
exactly how Grayson is. She spends probably $200 on bones a month. Like, they eat these certain bones every single, like they get a certain bone every single night. That's like $15 for a pack of 6, but like each dog gets one, so it's like 3 days worth, and it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
dude, what?
They get certain like raw foods with their dry foods, and like, yeah.
My dog's growing up. So like my dog that's with my parents right now is I trained him. We got him when he was 8 weeks old. Went out for like I think my 16th birthday. I trained him for waterfowl hunting, so duck and goose hunting.
Mhm.
It's not fair to have him down here when he grew up on our farm. I mean, dude, he could run all 40 acres all day long and then come back at the end of the night if he wanted to. It's like,
Mhm.
it's not fair. So he stays with my parents, but we couldn't afford like bones and shit for our dogs. So whenever we kill a deer, we would like obviously clean the deer, quarter it, everything, take all the meat, but we would dry the bones out, and that's the shit we'd give to our dogs. It was actual deer
Yeah.
bones.
Dude, so funny story. Grayson's brother has the brother to our Labradoodle. And he hunts and runs dogs and stuff like that. Well, that dog goes everywhere with him, and like literally still hunting, the dog will go like sit in the woods with him. It's crazy. But like a year ago, they were riding down the road, like just cruising, looking like through the country, and there were some deer in a field, and they were going like 30 miles an hour down the road. The dog jumped out of the window of the truck and took off after and caught the deer.
No.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Because her brother was like, I'll get the video and send it to you. But
Yeah.
he was like videoing the deer in the field while they were cruising, like while they were riding down the road, and you just see the dog leap out the window and just take off like across the field. Yeah.
Video?
Yes.
Dude, that's crazy. I want to
Because
see that.
he like threw the truck in park and like jumped out and was like running across the field. It was yeah.
So I took the cat to the ER vet on Monday. So like I've been sick for like 3 weeks and I got prescribed a bottle of cough syrup, which I never took it. So I left it in the pharmacy bag and I took it out and it was like leaking everywhere. And the cat, like, we're not even for sure if he licked it or not, but like we thought he did. So we're like, oh fuck. So
This thing's about to be high as fuck.
yeah. So I took him to the ER vet and this is like 8:30 at night. And like we're waiting and we're waiting. And it's like 30 minutes in. And then these two guys come in and they're carrying, this is a really sad story, but they're carrying their dog and like it can't fucking walk. And there's like a ton of blood and it's like dripping. And the dog's still like wagging its tail and smiling. And they were hog hunting and
Oh.
they used the dog to like pin the hogs.
Uh-huh.
And the fucking hog, like its tusks are like fucking sharp
Yeah.
and it fucking stabbed the dog. So then they brought it immediately into surgery. It died. They did CPR. They brought it back, and then they did the surgery and they opened it up because the doctor told us after its lung was ripped off and its heart was severed.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. Was it a pit bull?
I don't know what it was, and like, dude,
Oh,
I felt terrible. Like I'm a huge animal lover, and like I was like tearing up a little, but I was also like, fuck, dude. Like, what do you expect? Like, you want your dog to fucking pin down these hogs? It's like
mhm. That's
that's
what a lot of people like. In my grandpa lives in Texas. That's what they do. They get packs of pit bulls and they track the hogs down and then they'll like release the dogs and they go and catch them and then they like hog time and kill them with a knife.
we
yeah,
do in northern Wisconsin, bear hunting with dogs is huge. And our
Uh-huh.
neighbor,
Yeah, we do that in
um,
Virginia.
yeah, our neighbor has bear dogs, and I've like observed a hunt. I've never done like the hunt myself and like killed a bear when it's in the tree, etc. But I remember very vividly from at a young age, we went over there because my neighbor and my dad had like a feud. Okay, so we live on a farm, and the first time we ever moved into our house before I was born, my neighbor, before even introducing himself, he was like, "Hey, can I drive my ATVs and snowmobiles across your property?" So like my dad and him have always been button heads, but he knows my dad, is sheriff, and so he would always try to be on my dad's good side. So when he would have litters of puppies, he'd be, "Hey, bring the kids over, see the puppies." Came over one time, and there was this one dog separate from others, and it was just mutilated as a motherfucker. Like, looked like there's no skin on it. It looked like it got burned. So then I asked what happened. It was like a bear got a hold of it, but the thing survived. Yeah, and
Holy crap!
it was so I can remember it. There's no fur on it. I think it was losing. It lost an eye, but it was crazy, dude. But
Yeah, that's
yeah, man.
wild.
I sometimes like I understand that using dogs for hunting, rabbits, hogs, bears, etc. It's just part of culture, but at the same time, it's always sad.
Yeah, we
yeah.
have rabbit dogs. So, but
Oh
like
yeah,
it's just like beagles and nothing happens to them unless
I
somebody
get it.
doesn't know how to hunt.
Fucking sad, but I'm also at the same time, it's like I would never tell like personally, like I'm like if I would expect my dog to be fucking dead at some point and get stabbed to death.
Yeah.
If
But
I'm just
those dogs too aren't like the emotional attachment isn't there like a pet. Like it's like
yeah,
people look at those dogs like they have a job to do. Like
yeah,
I personally know people that run like deer dogs and if they don't run, don't they get put out.
yeah, yeah,
So which is horrendous, but like it just happens.
yeah. It's
yeah.
crazy because people use dogs to hunt the big ass mountain lions too.
Yes, they do. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, Nick, you got an overall win, brother. Let's talk about it.
An overall win, baby. Dude, it was awesome, man.
Thank you.
I was that. Have you guys ever seen how loud like Mahaley is at national shows?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Bro, I was that guy. It was so annoying for myself too, because I'm like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, dude, this is men's physique going on right now. Like, chill the fuck out, Nick. But it meant a lot, man, especially for just what he went through on prep and stuff with just life things, his own personal stuff. But I've also, me and Tariq have become close friends. I've been coaching him since 2023, where I did his prep for Ben Wieters. He got fifth. Um, but yeah, man, it was wonderful. So just a little back. Oh yeah, Mike, because I saw you.
That's natural.
What's that?
He's natural?
No, not anymore.
No, okay, I was gonna say.
No, not anymore, dude. Don't worry. Um, so like at about 3 weeks ago, he got third at Junior USA's, and definitely could have improved upon that look for sure. But also we all know this as coaches is that you know we have all this knowledge, but it's pointless without proper application. So the true winning coaches and the true winning athletes take the knowledge, take the data that they collected, and they change it based upon what they did like, what they did not like, the look that they brought, they didn't bring, etc. Um, so there's a lot that we not really changed, but there was areas where we pushed a lot harder between the two shows. The two shows, we took off about 13 pounds. And
Holy shit.
yeah, so a lot of that also, though, there was a lot of estrogen that was elevated too. So right off the bat, I told him after Junior USA's, I'm like, hey man, I want to get some labs pulled. And as coaches, we deal with people that have different just financial positions in their lives, different jobs, etc. And as ideal as we want it, where we want people to always get labs done at certain times, sometimes it's not possible, with work schedule or just finances. So we weren't able to get labs pulled. So I had to make the decision of my AI use, because I didn't really use a lot of AIs going into Junior USA's. But I had to be more cognizant of just like symptomology of estrogen being higher than I wanted it to be. And also, okay, I'm going to start bringing these AIs up around this 10 days out mark. And the look that it was bringing, the outcome was still getting closer to where we want it to be. So just like for people listening to this that are coaches, obviously it's ideal to get some exact numbers or see where things are at before you start bringing AIs in more frequently or higher or different AIs. But sometimes we have to work with what we got with our clients. And that was a scenario. So I'm glad it wasn't something where I was just shooting in the dark, where I'm like, hey, let's bring Trent in at fucking 50 mgs a day, and it would have been very, very negative to his health. So at least it is something with like an AI. Obviously, it's going to affect lipids and everything, but it wasn't affecting, how he was as a person, his personality, shit like that. So that was a huge difference of look. So we brought the 8X in earlier on between the shows. We brought it in at about 10 days out. We brought it in at a 0.5 milligram every other day. Around 7 days out, I brought it in at 1 milligram every day, and then bumped it up to 1.5 milligrams at 4 days out. We did have Letro on hand, but didn't need to use Letro. I'm not a big fan of using Letro. It really flattens people out, and from what I've seen, just not like a flat look from less glycogen, but it kind of looks like it's just a depleted look, if you know what I'm saying. So we didn't have to use Letro, but man, we pushed, dude. His cardio calories went from just 700 fasted to 700 fasted and 500 post workout. So he was pushing, man. So he had 2 cardio sessions a day. Food got lowest point before peak week. Food was like 1,400 calories. It was tough. But man, he's pulled through. He succeeded. The peak week was very ideal. I was really happy with it. I've kind of found my groove for peak week in terms of just like how I operate. And it has to do with, I don't really take a whole lot of pictures anymore, because I've found myself, okay, if I take more pictures and I'm analyzing them after I tell them to eat, or I'm hyper fixated on these photos, sometimes I start to second guess my own decisions, even though I make the right decision. You know what I'm saying? So it was simple, man. To this entire peak week, I was like, all right, when we do check-ins at certain periods of the day, just don't even put your shorts on. I just want you to have whatever on that you have. Most of the time, it was just front pose, back pose. I didn't have him do rounds of posing besides after our pump workout. And he felt more confident as well, because he's like, all right, Nick isn't trying to analyze me for 5 minutes as if something's wrong, but it was more so like, all right, I saw what I needed to see, and I would just either type it out or I'd write it down, like, all right, eat this, instead of me going to the other room, looking at the photos, like, okay, what should I do here, here, and here? Which helps the client. It helps them be like, okay, we're in a good spot right now. Nick doesn't have to do a whole lot of thinking as if something's wrong. So that was that helped me a ton as well.
We have the perfect guest on here to talk about everything you just stated in the last 4 minutes. Mike and I, there's a few things I wanna talk about with this. First, AIs. Second, peaking simplicity, because Mike and I have like kind of evolved together, but he's always been a lot more simple when it comes to like things, and he's helped me with that a lot because like, I mean, just who you and I have learned from, it's a lot of very meticulously detailed, like, you know, ratios and like everything, which is fine if that's good for you. But I had to like throw that out the window. And Mike and Dom Kuzo were huge contributors to this, and they still are. Of like, bro, I haven't even been using Sheets like a little bit, but like I don't even use Google Sheets anymore. It's just like write the shit down in a text message and like, have your plan laid out of what you want to do. Sure, in your notes, if you want to use Sheets, whatever. But like every gram of sodium doesn't matter, or every milligram of sodium doesn't matter. Every milligram of potassium doesn't matter. You put checking in multiple times a day from 3 days out doesn't matter. Like, bro, just like, and even Dom helped me a lot with this too. And, obviously Mike's going to touch on this, but like, don't just, okay. A lot of people say, oh, pre-rating a peak is stupid. Your coach, blah, 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 blah. Like they should be checking in every day, during peak week. Okay. Yes, I do agree with that. But also, Dom has kind of helped me change my mindset on this of like, bro, you can pre-write if you truly are experienced enough and know the athlete enough, you should be able to write a peak week pretty freaking accurately in advance, and then just be able to make slight changes along the way as needed. Like, yes, you still need those check-ins. Yes, you still need to look at them and make sure everything's trending properly, but like, it is very, very much so possible to write a peak and like barely make minor changes to it. You want to
Exactly.
weigh in on that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, how I view it too is if you know what you're doing, you should be able to pre-write the entire peak, and it's small adjustments, man. I mean, you know when you're going to be loading the person, if you're going to be making water manipulations or XYZ, right? And then it's just, okay, let's check in, let's see the response, and okay, cool, I'm going to bump this a little up or down, or I'm going to change this, right? But I think a big problem which like Nick, you touched on it with overanalyzing, and a lot of people do that is like, one, if you're in the room with your athlete and it's like, all right, give me 30 minutes to like set your next meal, it's like, okay, that makes you think like something's wrong, or you don't know what you're doing, or you start going back and comparing pictures too much. It's like, who cares what they look like yesterday or the meal before? It's like, okay, how do they look right now? Like, right, if you know what you're doing, use your fucking eyes. That's your best tool. And like, that's kind of how I like to view peak week too. Even when we're one day out and we're doing meal by meal check-ins, I send everyone the whole plan for the whole day ahead of time, and then I say, this is tentative, we might make changes, but again, I don't care how they looked like yesterday or the day before or last week. I care, okay, well, how do I see you right now? Do you have more water on you? Do you need to be fuller? And it's like, what did the meal you just had do? Okay, did I like that? Did I not like that? All right, let's adjust, or keep writing it out. I think people just overcomplicate things too much, and it's like, simple, and like making it simple for the athlete where they're not stressed is always the best option.
Totally. And it's like, I think there's a difference because because I hired Brandon to come out and do some content for me there, Brandon Wara. And when we did our talking head videos, there's a piece of content that I made that was like, okay, peak weeks should be meticulous from the context of, what's going to happen based upon what you change. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you should already know the ins and outs of that athlete. You should know, hey, this is what they look like when they're on 5 grams of sodium per day. This is what they look like when they're on 5 grams of sodium and they're on 3 liters of water per day. When you're coming down to these details of the variables of peak week, yes, it should be meticulous, but it shouldn't be meticulous to the point of everything needs to be calculated. You know, like the peak week is, I don't really like when people say peak week is a science. Peak week is an intuition. And there's a lot of, you could say, science type things, you know, with what's going on with potassium, sodium, you know, aldosterone, anti-diuretic hormone, etc. But the amount that I'm thinking in my mind about anti-diuretic hormone throughout a peak week is just infinitesimal. Like, I'm not thinking about that at all. I'm thinking about,
Zero.
just like you said, Mike, I'm like, okay, where's the look going? Is this the look that I want, or it's getting closer, or is it getting further than what I want to present on stage? If I like it, let's just keep doing it. Let's keep replicating it. And I think that's where a lot of young coaches, but also a lot of coaches that have been doing this for a decade or so, still haven't found their groove, is because I think there's only one way to peak their athletes. But also, you don't really see them winning at national shows.
For sure. And I think that even like, I think so there's like a middle ground, there's like a threshold here of athletes that you can do this with. So like, you know, you have your new athletes who are just new. They don't, you know, the detail doesn't necessarily work for them. They don't, you know, it's overwhelming. And then you get to like this middle ground of like, okay, they like a lot of detail. They're starting to understand peaking. They understand the sport, that type of stuff. And I noticed even like when it comes down to just normal plans, like the Google Sheets and stuff that, you know, I've used, like that kind of middle ground of people, they like that. Then when you get to the top level and these big time pros and stuff like that, you know, eventually when we're getting to working with them, bro, they don't want all of that detail. They just want you to tell them what to do and do it, whether that's in a WhatsApp message, an app, a Google Sheet, they don't get a text message, a fucking send it by pigeon through a letter. Like they don't give a shit. It's just like, you know, so I feel like there's a barrier of like, you know, what am I? There's like a bell curve there of like, these people don't want it, all that detail. You know, the middle ground, you can kind of use that detail to where it doesn't overwhelm them. And then you get to the top level. So my thing is like, why not just keep it simple all the way through and just like, you know, just keep it that way the whole time.
I I think it's funny because like some people try and it's like we're not mathematicians, right? Like you think Chris Aceto uses a spreadsheet?
Hell no. He sends one word check-in answers.
Probably doesn't even know how to use a fucking Instagram. He barely knows how
Uh-huh.
to use, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
use your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's too where people don't understand that you can have all of the science in your brain that you could possibly think of, but if you don't have experience with peaking, you're not going like if you don't have experience with just using your eyes in general, like you're it's very, very, you might get lucky, but it's going to be very hard to be consistently successful. All of the guys who are consistently peaking people properly and really nailing it are using their eyes and not they probably don't give a shit about science.
Yeah.
So
It's like, and also too, you and I, like us three, we can explain our approaches to peak weeks. We can explain it well because we've done it dozens upon dozens of times. Okay. We
mhm.
can explain it well to each other and we know what we're talking about. So like, but sometimes when we help other people peak somebody, like I helped a coach peak two of his athletes. You know, at the same time, there's only so much I can do because I don't really know their trends. I don't know
Yes.
where they've been at, et cetera. So I can only give so much knowledge to that particular scenario. But when that coach asked me after the fact, like 2 days after, like, yo, things are really starting to come together now. Like, how did you know to make that decision? I'm thinking, bro, I don't really know how to explain that if it's going to go over the top of your head. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it's
I
like,
had a
it's not because I'm smarter than you. It's not because like it's going to go over the top because I'm just up here and you're down here. It's the fact that, like I said earlier, a lot of the how we peak our athletes, a lot of it has to do with the intuition and knowing how that body responds.
I
mhm.
swear to God, 5 minutes before we got on this call, I had a buddy text me and he was like, yeah, I got this guy just hit me up last night or this morning. He's doing a pro show tomorrow. Like, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, what's his plan? And he sent me over like what he did yesterday and today, and it was like a fucking mess. And I was like, just pull a salt for the next 2 meals, give him a burger and fry tonight, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Literally, literally, bro. And like I had a guy hit me up like 3 or 4 days ago on Instagram, and he's like, I'm coaching myself, but I want someone to peak me. And I'm like, bro, I told him straight up, I was like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like either you start, either you pay me now for the next 3 months of your prep, or like I'm not. It's quite literally impossible to peak someone who you have absolutely no data or knowledge or anything like that on, prior to the peak week itself. And yeah, so yeah. Anyways,
I totally
um,
agree.
peaking
But
is definitely an experience thing. It is not
yeah,
like the science, all of the science in the world isn't gonna sometimes can't explain anything that happens during a peak week.
dude, and that's like a great example of that is when you get a client that has come to you and they're kind of used to how they've been peaked in the past by other people or whatever, and it's worked for them. Um, but sometimes clients don't realize that the way one coach does something is much different than another coach. So sometimes that can kind of scare them away. Like my other athlete that I coached for junior nats, he got sixth in his class, and I was really happy with how he changed his physique around at 3 weeks because he did junior USAs, but he was guided by somebody else. And I know this person. I know his old coach, and I like his old coach.
Mhm.
And but how he was, I mean, his peak weeks in the past were lots of burgers, lots of fries, lots of diuretics, this, and that. So sometimes people can kind of not second guess, but they become weary thinking that, like, dang, I've done all these Hail Mary approaches to food on peak week, and now we're just keeping things really clean. Like, damn, am I going to look good on stage? Because so I think the early on fitness influencer crowd, like 5 years ago of talking about, hey, we're doing pancakes before the night of the show and burgers, all that stuff. It still is like seeped into people's minds nowadays, and they expect
That
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 to be every show,
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Like, dude, I
Um,
was for this show for Tariq, man, between once he won the overall and then when he went on to do the pro show, there was me. I wasn't writing shit down. I was like, hey, go take a handful of Sweet Tarts candy, throw that back, and have a salt packet. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, and then do that, and then we'll look at you in an hour, and I'll make my decision there if I want to do anything else.
yep.
Um, but yeah, that was something cool, man. About after he took the overall.
Going to
Uh,
the pro show. He did well at the pro show too, right? Didn't he get second call out?
yeah, dude, he got 13th out of 38 people.
Oh yeah, that's it.
So
Their first
I was like,
overall.
huh?
Was that your first national overall?
First national overall, yeah. Yeah.
That's sick, bro. Sick.
I was really happy with it, man. So him and there was another guy that I coached that turned pro there, um, that I was just helping on the back end. Nothing, no money given at all. He just had a really bad experience at 3 weeks out. Um, and he stayed with his other coach, but he was like, hey man, like, because you're gonna be coming to the show, in junior nats in 3 weeks, I'd like it if you could give me second eye. I'm like, sure, nothing contractual, no money given, etc. But he was men's physique as well, and he did classic. So his peak week was all sorts of shit. So that was I had to kind of pull things back a little bit. But he ended up turning pro in men's physique. I was really happy for that because he's a really good dude. His name's DeAndre. Um, but I ended up me and Ebanks convinced him to do the pro show as well for men's physique. Even though he got last call out, he got off the stage just ecstatic. He was like, "Yo, that was the coolest thing ever," And I'm like, "Now you know where you stack up." Like
Mhm.
I want you guys to see that, and that's why I wanted Tariq to do it as well. I want him to realize, okay, I'm on top of the world right now. I just turned pro. I just won the overall, and then I want him to see where he is at on the totem pole right after, you know.
Because you're
Um,
a small fish in a big pond again after that.
yep. And the cool thing was, man, is um, I didn't realize this until Banks said something, but 13th out of 38 people and beating prior Olympians is crazy. And
Absolutely, it is.
I'm like, holy shit! Like Banks literally like tapped me for the last call out. Last call gets called out, and he's like, you don't want to know something crazy? I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I counted 4 Olympians that he beat. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, that's crazy. So it was, man, there's a lot of wins overall. It was fantastic. It was a great feeling. I, dude, I was so hyped that entire day. I slept so good that night, the night of the show.
It's like
But
your voice is all raspy when you leave, shit like that. Yep.
yeah, but I love that shit,
Exactly
dude.
how I get to. Yeah, man. It's you can't fake passion.
No, junior nationals
That's how I was.
and NPC nationals are definitely my favorite national shows to go to.
Yeah. I last year Mike was there at North Americans. That was Durod's first national show. And I was 2 weeks out, bro. I was fucking dying. And like when Dorado went on stage, I was screaming as loud as I could and just getting hyped, jumping up and down. And then he got moved to the center, and then I was going crazy again. And it was like, it's just like, yeah, it's like just a fucking, it's just like the adrenaline of passion just smacks you, and you can't like a lot of people said something to me that were there. They were like, it's awesome to see you do that, and I was like, I think I'm thinking to myself like, damn, I just made myself look like a fool. And then people are like, that's awesome to see, the passion. But I in the moment, I can't help it. I don't give
No,
a shit what other people think.
dude, Tariq called for the overall. They called his name out that he won the overall, and Gilco is sitting to the left of me because I'm kneeling on the ground and I'm taking a video, but I'm not looking at it. I'm like looking down. I'm like crossing my fingers. I'm like, come on, come
Yeah.
on, all right. And then next thing I know, his name gets called, and I'm like 30 feet away. So I like jumped up, and I was like, Gilco was like, dude, I've never seen a big man move that quick. If you were an inch closer to me, when you like pumped the air, I would have smoked him in the face.
That's
So, but
funny.
it was
Um,
awesome, man.
I wanna touch on something that you talked about too, because like I know mine and Mike's kind of outlook on this has changed a little bit like recently. Uh, AIs. How do you normally like, obviously everyone's different. Um, but kind of throwing blood work out of the equation, just instinctively, like how do you normally like to program? Do you try to leave AIs low, or how do you do that?
So I've never. This is probably like Tariq's the third person where I've had to kind of bring AIs in a little bit more frequently because I normally never really need to use them at all until maybe like 2 days out when I bring 8x in at a milligram a day or something. Okay, I'm like, you know what? If it's going to do something, we can
Mhm.
do it right now. It'll maybe harden them up a little bit more. So I've never really had to have a use for AIs being super prevalent or present for a long period of time. I don't like the way, like even he told me, man, he's like, yeah, I had a sex drive on peak week for junior USAs. Dude, I didn't have sex for 12 days before junior nats. And I'm like, yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so it's one of those things where, like with Tariq, because we couldn't get labs pulled, I was like, all right, I just want to see where he's going to go when I start to bring it in a little bit more frequently. Okay, he was on 0.5 milligram of Adex every 3 days prior to that, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to bring it down to 0.5 milligram every 2 days. All right, and then every other day. So then once we started to go from every 2 days to every other day, he started to I mean, he's got the typical like black guy roundness. He started to become a lot harder from the back, and from the front he's very hard and he's very round, but mostly from the back, that's where I was starting to see his body start to change a little bit more. I'm like, okay, I haven't changed anything else except this, so that's a good sign that okay, it was a good call. That because I knowing his physique from coaching him for a couple years, he does aromatase pretty damn quick. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so with that, that is I have to base my doses of whatever I'm doing upon the response. Okay. If that's off-season drugs, if that's contest prep drugs, etc. So with him, I was like, all right, because we couldn't pull labs, that it was the right decision to bring the AIs in a little bit more. He was maybe I don't want to say he was holding pounds of water from estrogen being so high. How high can your estrogen really be at that point in prep? But it was definitely enough where it was causing, like, if you could look at somebody, I don't want to say a film over his physique, but it was causing just a soft look. So just with the, mechanisms of action of what, it was just 8x being in his bloodstream um, more frequently and for a longer period of time, it changed things up enough where I was like, okay, that's the look. That's a pro level back now. And that it's not a back that looks like it forgot to start a diet. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really like to using Letro at all. I've used Letro once before, and that was about 2 years ago, and that was kind of a shot in the dark with somebody, knowing so because they didn't have 8X or aromatase. And I didn't use it with anybody else since then. So I'm kind of on the fence about AIs of using them more frequently on peak week, but it's like it's an as needed basis per individual is how I look at it.
So I know Mike probably has like a more technical kind of answer to it, but I'm just gonna say because obviously he teaches me a lot. We learn from each other a lot, but I I used to be the big like John Jewett against AI type of bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Over the last year, I think there's the two things that I think cause the absolute most drastic change in someone's physique is an AI and Winstrol. Like you can obviously you have to get people to that point of being lean, but like I've gotten to the point where like you hit that 6 week out mark ish, and like this is obviously me being transparent about what I do, but I feel like you get to that 6 week out mark where they're like pretty friggin' or they should be pretty damn lean at that point, but like still just not quite there. And then you bring in you ramp the AIs and you bring in Winstraw. It's just like, bro, the look after that just absolutely transforms. So like I've become a big proponent of like driving AIs harder. Like for example, right now Parker is 4 weeks out tomorrow, and he's taking a milligram or a half a milligram every day. And like with the rod, I worked him up to a milligram and a half. Like, so he was doing a milligram a day for 3 weeks, and then or no 2.5 weeks ish, and then peak week, the entire peak week, I bumped him to a milligram and a half from 7 days out. So it's like, I don't know what it is, but bro, AIs have, and I understand the methodology of like, or the thought behind it of like, estrogen can only go so low. Like, once you're at zero, you're not getting, and I get that, but like, again, this is an experience thing, like to where you kind of just fucking throw science out the window for a second, and like the case studies are like there of higher AIs I have seen make a extraordinary difference in the look.
Bro, there's not really much of a difference. Like let's say somebody's, estrogen's at a 25. They're a male, they're 3 weeks out, they're at 25. Let's say you throw in an AI and it goes from a 25 to a 20 or 25 to a
Mm-hmm.
15. It's like from a scientific perspective, yeah, or not even scientific, just from a numerical perspective, yeah, that's a good decrease in your estrogen. Okay. But it's something you can't really explain when it's affecting the look in that sort of way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you're thinking like, damn, like their estrogen's not that crazy high the way it is. So, and they're not holding that much water. But why is it then when I bring this in conjunction with their other drugs and with where they're at in this prep and with, oxidative stress being as low as possible, it just changes a look,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you can't really explain or break down it's literally bro science.
Mm-hmm. Literally, it is, but like it works.
I've
Mike,
never I've never brought in an AI with someone or adjusted the dosage and increased it, and they did not get harder from it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Do you guys like using ADEX or would you prefer Electro?
No, I'll usually use Aromasin in the beginning of a prep, and then I'll switch to Arimidex. Um, I don't really use Letro too much. I have before, but this is my only like counter to AIs is I think if you use it too early when you still have a lot of body fat, it definitely slows fat loss from happening. I mean, estrogen plays a major role in fat loss, but like how I see it, it's like when you're there, it's just fucking send it. Um, I do think some people too, which this is the coaching part, is I mean, like they definitely flatten you more, which like I mean, you could just feed harder and that's fine, but it depends on the individual too, right? Like, you know, someone who's just like okay, like your guy, you just said he's like naturally like bubbly, right? It's like, okay, you could just fucking hammer it and he's still going to be bubbly. Some
Absolutely.
people will definitely flatten a little bit from it and that's fine. But
I
And
noticed
I
that
don't.
I could push people a lot harder when I bring their AIs in a little bit more aggressively. Like I can push them a little bit harder with their cardio. I can push them a little harder with their deficit. From what I've seen, and on top of that, just the look changes better. But I think,
And I'll be honest too, man. Like, go ahead, Nick, finish.
oh, well, I was going to say, I think what we're saying here is a testament to what some people just believe. Well, first off, like Mike, you said it, estrogen plays a big role in anabolism, but also plays a big role in fat loss. People don't realize like how important estrogen is to conversion of IGF-1. So a lot of people don't realize those things. And they like, dude, I had this one girl one time say, and dude, she was like, not even a competitor. She's like, yeah, I'm taking this, this, and this. And she's on an AI because she's been told it burns fat. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, just because we have an application where it changes the look of somebody that we want, that's going to be hopefully be rewarded on stage, does not mean that that look is correlating to fat loss. Like, does not mean that their thermogenesis is so much higher now, you know? So I think like to anybody listening to this, like, yo, if you just pop some Nolvadex, Aromasin, Adex, you're not going to burn fat. You know, it's like, it's the conjunction of everything. It's the mechanisms of action. It's the, how this is interacting with this, the negative feedback loop of this and this, that just works.
Uh-huh. And another thing that I've noticed too, bro, and just being honest, like high AIs with black guys is like, I don't know what it is and it's like a lot of them, not all of them have, you know, obviously, but like a lot of black guys have that like super dense, bubbly, like The Rock, for example, but there's almost like a film there. And I don't know if it's just, you know, genetics or like, you know, whatever it may be. I'm sure there's some theory to it, but like, they just like it's like you get them lean, but it's like not that hard look, and then you just ramp the AIs and it's just like that water comes off. They just start getting super grainy, start getting, you know, and again, like Mike said, it's not for everyone. It can flatten them out. I think the times that I don't ramp AIs is if I have somebody that I know doesn't train hard. I think that if you're ramping AIs with somebody who doesn't have a ton of muscle or a good amount of muscle, they don't train hard, then you're in for a recipe of disaster. So like I don't do it with everyone. Obviously, this is all person dependent, like we always say. But like somebody like Parker, I know he trains like an animal. I know that he's like a grainier person. Like, you know, I can drop his AIs up and you're gonna be able to get a really good look from it.
100%. They're
So
between junior USAs and junior Nats, we pulled his Clen out from 80 down to 42. Like I was like, hey, let's just take some stress off your body. Let's just pull Clen out down to 40. Let's keep it in there. We were gonna try to get some Mirabergone, but Mirabergone wouldn't have been delivered in time. Have either of you used that before?
Mm-mm.
no, what is
Mirabergone
that?
is something that I learned about from Vigorous Steve. Now it's a medication that was originally designed for people that wake up a ton in the middle of the night to go pee. Okay. So when you dose it at a clinical dose, that's what its main outcome is so that it holds your bladder in enough, controls it so you don't have to go pee in the middle of the night, you get better sleep, etc. So in a contest prep, it helps a ton with sleep. So you're not getting up, especially when you're having 5-6 liters of water per day, and you're staying asleep for longer. But then it's something that not a lot of people are using right now. And this was I've used it with 2 preps now with people, and it's very, very helpful. And I use it when there's no Clen. I don't keep Clen in, because when you dose it around like 40 to 50 milligrams, which is above clinical dosage, you're not seeing anything skewed with lipids. You're not seeing anything skewed with liver enzymes, etc. But it's something with I forgot what Steve, how he talks about it, how he explains it. But dude, the thermogenesis effect that you get from it without a central nervous system like stimulant is wild. Like it's like you don't get any anxiety, you don't get any cramps. Your energy expenditure goes up when you dose it above a clinical dose. And I don't want to say that it's better than Clen. I personally don't like Clen. I know, Taylor, you don't like Clen either. But from my experience of it, I would rather use Mirabergone over Clen any day, because now you're getting better sleep. You're not waking up throughout the night to piss a whole lot. And when you dose it, between 30 to 50, 50 plus, maybe I've never gone above 50, your basal metabolic rate increases significantly. Like I've noticed with what's his name, with Gabe, I had to be bringing his food up. I reversed him into his peak week because he was dropping so quickly, and I was like, well, that's the only thing that I've changed. It
Mhm.
wasn't energy expenditure, it wasn't anything else. I'm like, holy shit. So that's something I can send you guys, hypothetically, a link of where you can get some of that, and it's pharma. It's not made underground. It's actual pharma.
Okay, but yeah, I've never heard of that. I've kind of been like I've been using SLU in the same application basically. Obviously they're sounds like they're different things, but like that I've been kind of the same thought process with it as how I've been doing SLU instead of Clen and not having to drop Clen up as much because I don't know, man. I know how Clen makes me feel, and it's not like that with everyone. Like Dorad, we got his Clen up to I think at 3 weeks out, we brought it up to 80 for like a week and a half, 2 weeks until I started pulling it back. But um, like he handles it really well. His sleep is still incredible. Like he doesn't get anxiety from it, but just a lot of people like you can just I don't know. It's the way that it ramps up the central nervous system, and then you have you know they're probably drinking crazy amounts of caffeine and stuff during because they're just dead tired, and then you know yohimbine in there and like whatever T3, like all of those things just Clen it just kind of has that icing on the top effect that I've seen. It's like it just sends them kind of overboard with stress and fatigue and poor sleep and stuff.
It's like the
See, I barely
cherry.
use yohimbine.
What's
You
that?
barely use what?
Yohimbine.
Really?
Yeah.
I personally, so like for myself, I
What's
like it. I like the way it makes me feel when I'm doing fasted cardio. But I've noticed that some people, they tolerate alpha yohimbine better than yohimbine HCl. But it's one of those things where, yeah, it's kind of like Clen.
Because how I see it, and like I, I still use it with some people, but I've just been using it a lot less. I'm like, okay, if we take like all the things that are typical that are stimulants, right? You have like your caffeine, you have your clenbuterol, you have your yohimbine. I'm like, all right, what's the biggest bang for a buck? I'm like, okay, well, Clen's obviously gonna have a bigger effect than yohimbine, and it's like now just stacking multiple of them together. I'm like, okay, well, what's gonna be the least? The what's the biggest mover? It's probably the Clen. So I'm like, I'd rather use that, and let's chill a little bit on the yohimbine.
Where am
Um,
I going to get more reward versus the
yeah,
risk?
it definitely works. Like I use it still, but just like I would say probably half my props I'm not using it right now.
I like,
I will say with yohimbine, it's like kind of one of those things I've just always had as a staple, but whether it's in or out, it's not like it's like obviously on the back end, it's like that 2% difference, right? Like, I feel like, but it's not like you're gonna get drastic effects from it, or you're gonna get, drastic effects from not having it. So, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, Mike. I guess in my like kind of thought with it, it's just like I've kind of always just used it as a staple for fat loss. So,
well, yeah, because like the mechanism of action, man, is like it's clear. It helps block the alpha 2 adrenergic receptor. So it's like that receptor has an influence of storing fat and releasing lipids. So it's like it works, but to the extent of, okay, even though it's working in the background, like this person feels like shit on it. Is it worth it? Not really. Like I
Mhm.
can just, why don't I just increase your daily steps by 2,000 more steps and then pull the
Yeah,
yohimbine out?
that's the
Yeah.
same. I mean, even with Clen, it's like I use Clen with almost everyone, but I'm like, okay, if it's fucking your sleep, all right. If I want to push a deficit, I'd rather just pull more food and not use the Clen.
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yep.
Something I
I
used
mean,
with,
Mike, we didn't even in my prep, we didn't even go over like 20 Clen, did we?
No, we
Or it was
pulled
like,
you
yeah,
hate
yeah, yeah. It
and try.
was, yeah. I can't use trim, bro. I don't know. That shit fucked me up.
I had him on
dude,
it for like a week, and then he was like, "Dude, I can't do it anymore."
I don't
bro.
know what it was. It was like 150 milligrams. It wasn't even, it was nothing like, but it was just like, I don't know, man. I just felt like foggy. Like my sleep was fucking, like I was sweating all night long and my sleep was getting fucked up. And then I'm sure that had something to do with like the brain fog throughout the day. I just felt like I was getting anxious and snapping on everyone when I was already hungry as shit. And I was just like, bro, we don't,
I've
we don't need this.
never felt that before.
Bro,
I
you
can
don't feel anything with any drug.
Yeah, that's true.
Bro, no, I'm serious. Nick, Mike is fucking immune to his body does not. I don't know what it, bro. I can't
I don't
explain
get
it. Mike,
effects. I don't get blood work, negatives in blood work. My physique doesn't respond to any drugs. It's almost like I swear I fucking take or inject something that just doesn't metabolize.
bro,
really.
like yeah, like cycles that we won't talk about, but like
Uh-huh.
doesn't. Yeah, what'd you say, Mike?
I've did big cycles and not where my blood pressure should be like fucking 200 and nothing happened. It didn't change.
No way.
He took a cycle that I was like, Mike, bro, come on now, and got his blood work done before, and then he ran it, got his blood work done right after, and his blood work was fucking better than it was when he started. I swear to God on my eternal soul.
Okay, so
It's real stuff too. So like
Yeah, no, it's the same shit that I'm using.
how long ago was that?
dude, like
2023.
yeah, probably 2023.
You want to divulge what you were taking?
As I was doing, I don't remember exactly. It was like 750 test,
I remember.
500 primo, uh, 300 tren, maybe 3 or 500 NPP. I was doing 150 ment, like
Bro, I swear.
100 anadrol, and I think like 10 units of growth hormone. And I maybe gained like 1 pound of muscle. And I was absolutely perfect. Like with diet, I never missed ever. Um, my training was good. Um, I was using insulin too, and yeah, just like no response. So like blood pressure never changed. My blood work literally had zero. It, some markers improved, but nothing got worse. It was crazy, man. And that was like an eye opener. And I was like, yeah, this bodybuilding thing probably just isn't for me.
Yep.
He
I'll be
gets
like,
crazy strong when he's taking shit like that, but yeah, he gets crazy strong on cycles. Like he got ridiculously strong, but like nothing. Like it's crazy. I don't know how to explain it.
that's nuts, dude. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like people
I
would see 150 mint and be like, "What the fuck?"
But
Yeah,
I don't feel anything, like, dude.
yeah. He doesn't even get side
I
effects.
don't
Like
I don't feel side effects. Like I've never felt like I was on drugs. I've never had a negative side effect or anxiety or sleep issues or like fucking water retention and like nothing, dude.
well, dude, that's crazy too because you're a very even keeled person, Mike, and so you would notice if something was off right away. Like
For sure.
a lot of people that are very strung out or they're just like they don't hold composure. Or they've never learned how to hold composure elsewhere in their life when they're natural or enhanced. Those are the types of people where they don't even realize the side effects, but then everybody else around them notices the side effects because they're like, "Yo, dude, you're running like 100 miles an hour when you're natural or when you're on TRT, and then when you're on cycle, you're going 150 miles an hour, and we see a huge difference." But they're always running 100 miles an hour, but just 50 miles an hour more, they don't realize it. So it's like you would experience like you would notice that stuff. So it's not like you're lying about it, but also at the same time, you did what most people don't do. And you were like, okay, I'm getting super strong on these cycles and I'm doing this bodybuilding thing. I'm living like a bodybuilder. I'm doing the lifestyle. I'm also coaching. If I'm not getting the return, why am I still taking the risk?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so you're like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I'm best at. And I'm going to coach and I'm going to turn people pro and I'm going to live through them. And it's like most people do. The amount of times we see this all the time, guys, like people taking all these drugs, telling us that they want to go pro, but they just genetically are not built for it.
Yeah.
Nothing clicks in their brain where they're like, hey, I should probably just pull it back because I'm never really going to get to where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And that's when you hear the horror stories of these people where they just fuck themselves up.
Yeah.
yep.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I did multiple cycles. That was like the last big one I've did. I mean, I've stayed under like 800 megs since then, but um, yeah, I mean, like my first cycle I ever did was great, and like nothing was like big outside of like that last one I did, but never. Even my second one was like under a gram. Like no response. Third one, nothing. Fourth one, nothing. Fifth one, nothing. And that's why I kept going up, because I was like, oh fuck, maybe I need more, because like nothing's happening here, and it just never happened.
What's Taylor? What is your first cycle you've ever done?
First that I ever did was 350 test by itself, and then like, bro, honestly, I've never ran any crazy cycles. Um, I mean, I've taken crazier things, but like not at like crazy doses or anything. And really not even crazy things, because like we talked about with Cusano, it's like use versus abuse. Like, is it really crazy if you're not abusing it? You know what I mean? So, um, I did 350 tests. Then, after that, I started running. Um, also, I did a cycle that I don't really count. I took 400 tests for like 8 or 9 weeks when I was like 18 or something like that. Um, and then, but my first real cycle was when I started with Jansen, and I was doing 350 tests a week. Um, and then after that, went to like test and primo. Um, Nothing like, like 500 tests, 300 primo or something. Then did test primo and some MPP, and then yeah, it's kind of just always been test mass primo MPP, and then obviously, during prep I did more stuff, but
Mhm.
that's why I did the prep too, is because I knew, like last year I told Mike before we started, and it wasn't like, obviously Mike's not like, hey, take this, and I'm just like, okay. It's like, hey, I want to try these things because I've never taken them before, and I know that I'm going to need my athletes to, or I'm going to want my athletes to use them in the future. So like, I just want to experiment. So we did, and that was, that was the heavier cycle that I ran. But
It makes sense, dude. Because like at the same time, I think if you're a prep coach, I think you need to at least. There is a lot that comes from you knowing what it feels like to be in the depths of prep and being absolutely fucking
mhm,
shredded, et cetera. I think a
mhm,
lot comes from that when you're asking your clients to do that as well. But also, same thing from a drug perspective. It's like, you know what? I'd feel a lot better if I know what I feel like when I'm on this, and I've had experience with it. That's just personally me, like
yep,
I, um, something that kind of goes against what I just said is like, I've never taken DECA, but
mhm,
I've had people on DECA, what I'm saying, but
mhm,
that's a 19 norm, man. It's something that I don't really need to experience a whole lot of. It's something very easily I can throw in there. But it's like, hey,
yep,
I'm gonna first throw in. I mean, maybe I'm gonna try NPP first with them. I've done
mhm,
NPP and it feels like I know how to dose, etc. All right, maybe they didn't like the NPP. All right, let's switch to DECA. All right, 19 nors, count them out. Let's not use it in any 19
mhm,
nors anymore. Um,
yep,
but no, man, it's like the I think there's a lot of people out there that tell their clients, hey, we're going to use this and then this and then this. But at the same time, that coach has never dosed it in the way that they want their clients to dose it.
yep, for
I
sure.
just think that's irresponsible.
Have you, what, I don't, you've never like ran any like super huge cycles, have you, Nick?
So like, okay, the cycling I'm on now, I'm waiting for my mass to come in. So I'm just on 350 test and 300 primo because I just stopped using masked propionate because I was on 300 masked prop with my 300 primo. But I want my anecdote to come in, so I'm just on 300 primo with my test. Prior to this cycle, I'm second weekend. I was on the most test I've been on, which was 850 per week. So 850 test and 400 primo. And then, of course, I was on 5 IUs of growth. And then I wasn't on insulin for that cycle, but that was like the first cycle after I turned pro. Um, and then we brought in NPP at 150. Um, but that was for the last like 5, 6 weeks of the cycle. I would say that's like biggest weekly test amount. But
Mhm.
in terms of like androgen load, like weekly androgen load, obviously being on prep, I've been on more, when I'm counting the orals and I'm
Yeah, for
counting
sure.
the ancillaries and, the fat burners, etc. So like on prep, I got up to was I got up to 700 tests per week, which was lowered before junior nats. But that's like I'm just saying peaks of stuff that I was on before we lowered it. I was on 700 test probe at one point. I was on 700 masked probe at one point. 25 Anavar, 50 Winstrol. What was I at for Tren? It was 25 Tren Ace a day. T3, T4 obviously were just replacement doses. So 12 and a half AM, PM of T3, and then 50 AM, PM of T4. Clen got up to 80. I absolutely hated it. So we brought back down to 60. Fuck, man. What else was I on? Winstrol, Proviron. I was on 100 mgs of Proviron. Halo. Halo got up to 30 milligrams a day in peak week. I love real Halo. That shit feels fucking nuts.
Also, I was gonna ask, do you guys like Halo, or do you have you taken Anadrol?
I took Anadrol once before, and that was not like Cam didn't tell me to take Anadrol. That was actually, this was between Junior Nats and Universe. Okay. And I just got done with, no, it was between Battle at the River and Universe, or Battle at the River, where I won the overall, and Junior Nats. So I'm still living in Tennessee, and I had Anadrol with me. Never used it before. I was like, you know what? Maybe we'll throw it. I'm just going to bring it with me just in case. Okay. So then had it with me, and it was the day after I won. So like I had all the food running through my body from the night before, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take 50 mgs of Anadrol for this workout. Took 50 mgs of Anadrol, felt nuts. Okay. Like I felt round. I felt full. I had great aggression. And then after I got done training, dude, my nips were puffy as fuck. And
Really?
I swear to God, man. And I don't know what it was. I don't know. Like I squeezed my nipple and just clear liquid started coming out. And I'm like, what the shit? And I'm like, was it the Anadrol, or is it like, is the Tren? The Tren hasn't been doing this to me throughout the entirety of my prep. So that's the only time I took Anadrol. So I hypothetically still have a bunch sitting in my cupboard that I have no idea what to do with.
Mike, should we tell him the Anadrol story
Let's hear it.
Which one?
from
Oh God,
Revive?
which one?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, so me and Mike used to just fuck around, right? And so 2023 is when we started getting like really close. And was it 2023 or 2022? It was 22.
Yeah.
We started getting really close, and like I was living in 2023. I moved to Georgia, so I was like driving distance from Florida. I used to just go stay with Mike all the time, and we would just fuck around and eat cookies and do dumb shit. Well, we were going to Revive one day. We were like, let's go to Revive. You know, it was our first time ever going there. We were like, it'll be fun. We were both training really hard at that point, like actually locked in on bodybuilding, like super hard. We were on the way there, and we were like, dude, so should we take some Anadrol for this workout? And he was like, I was like, huh?
It was a leg day.
Yeah, it was a leg day. So we were like, Nick Walker's brother was like filming us and stuff. So we were like getting content. So we were like, let's take some Anadrol. So he was like, I don't know whose idea it was, but we came up with the idea that we were going to take 100 milligrams of Anadrol before we trained. Was it 100 or 125?
No, it was 100.
Yeah, it was 100 mix before we trained. And we were like, and I was like, bro, should we do this? And he was like, let's call Dom. So we called Dom, and he was like, you guys are idiots. Don't ask me this stupid ass question. So then we did it, right? And we got like halfway through, and Mike was like, bro, I don't feel good. He started like going hypo.
Story. Back up the story.
Okay.
He bitched out. He's like, I don't want to do 100. I'm going to do a
I did 75, I think. Yeah.
75. So then I took the extra 25 that he didn't take.
Yeah, that's what it was. So you ended up taking 125. I took 75. Dude, we got like halfway through it. He started going hypo. We made it through, bro. I have a video. We went in the bathroom. He was like, I don't feel good. We walked in the bathroom. He just started fucking projectile vomiting in the trash can, just all in the Revive trash can, or in the bathroom at Revive. And then he was like, he could barely make it out of the gym. We got out of the gym. Didn't you throw up in the parking lot?
I don't remember, probably.
And he was like, you gotta drive, man. You gotta drive. I don't feel good. So then we went to the like the store next to Revive and got like some Gator lights and and like pumped him full of electrolytes and stuff, and he started to feel
You
better.
ever,
But yeah,
you guys ever go hypo when you train before?
Dude.
not really.
So like, I don't know if this has ever happened, but well, the side story, like I would have a problem where like every leg day, like without insulin or nothing, like well fed, it's just like I'm always going hypo. But dude, sometimes it was to the point for me where like I don't know why I don't have this problem anymore. Um, I would like be hypo and then I'd try to fucking drink a Gatorade or something, but like it would make me nauseous, like eating or drinking anything. So then it's like I would drink something and then I'd fucking throw up again. So then it's like I can't do anything to fix the hypo, but like I'm feeling the side effect. So it's freaking knocked me out.
Yeah,
Dude, no,
I remember that.
I think like maybe 50% of the time my leg days, I'll start going hypo before I even have an intra workout. But like when I train so hard where it's like sometimes do my intra workout, I'll want to puke if I take intra workout.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like, but that's just on my leg days. Like I train equally as hard on every other body group or muscle group, and I'll take my intra. But on leg days, I'll want to fucking puke. So I don't take it. And I don't want to puke when I'm training because then I feel like shit. But then if I go hypo, I'm like, okay, yo, this is dangerous as hell.
Yeah,
Also, I'm like, what do
I'm
I
the,
do?
I'm the same way. I hate intra carbs, intra shakes. I don't. My stomach can't can't handle it. I used to be big on that, and I noticed that with a lot of people too. Honestly.
A lot, dude. Yeah, there's some companies out there make intra workout shakes where it's like 50 grams of carbs, a shit ton of EAAs, a crazy amount of electrolytes, all this stuff. Like I know, like NutriBio makes one called Leg Day, dude. No, there's no reason for somebody to be taking all that shit for,
Yeah, no.
like I'm like it's over the top here now.
See, I could do on like a upper day or something. I could do like 50. I've did 100 even carbs, but it's like legs at 25 max. I just like can't stomach it.
What does
But I think it's just because it's like such like a CNS taxing day that
Yeah.
digestion just goes to shit.
your body,
Yeah.
your stomach doesn't want to digest anything but water. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I find myself that I do better with on leg day my intra workout being like cluster dextrin instead
Yeah.
of a flavored intra workout. Like Hostile makes some called intra R3.
Yeah.
Tastes like orange juice, dude. Like to the point in college when I was like obviously still bodybuilding heavy in college, like Taylor, back when you and I first started being friends, I would mix some intra R3. Like if I was going out one night, I would mix alcohol with that shit. If we're pre-gaming because it had electrolytes and I had EAAs in it. It tasted that good. You know what I'm saying? But like, dude, nowadays I just do plain unflavored cluster dextrin from us, and it's perfect for me.
Raw makes a badass product. They actually made it for endurance athletes. It's called Fuel, but it's a blend of glucose and fructose. And like that that's all I use for intros now because it just digests so much better than like a cluster dextrin or carbolin or like a Gatorade powder.
Yeah.
Wait, does it have cyclic dextrin in it, or is it cluster dextrin?
It's cluster. They're the same. Cluster dextrin is a patented name, I think.
Oh, that's right. It is the patented name. I always
Yeah,
get
the
confused.
20 gram cyclic dextrin cluster is just the patented name. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
15 carbs from cluster dextrin and then 10 carbs from whatever the fructose source is.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha.
What Nick, do you have anyone doing universe?
No, nobody doing universe. I have a guy that is about he's 9 days out from a show in Vegas. He's the one that won his WNBF pro card 3 weeks ago, and then he competed last week in another WNBF show, but this time he wanted to get his bodybuilding pro card. Dude, I'm surprised at some of these athletes at some of these WNBF shows, dude. This kid, I mean, he looks better than a lot of guys on gear. I've been coaching him for a while, and he's just a trooper. But man, dude, he could be a good pro if he got on gear. And it's like one of those things. I'm like, dude, he loves bodybuilding so much because he loves competing. He loves the journey of it, but he just doesn't know if he wants the goal of going pro. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't know if he wants to be an IFBB pro. So I get it, where you don't you may not want to sacrifice health or just increase the risk. So I totally get it. But no, man, right now, I think I've got his show. I've got another show in 14 weeks for somebody. That's just a regional show. He's not going to do a national show this year because he's got to get his gyno fixed. He's had terrible gyno since 2020 when he came to me. Again, a typical victim of a shitty coach deploying D-ball on contest prep all the way up to the week of the show, etc. That stupid shit. And
Like, please, somebody explain to me why the fuck you need D-ball in a contest prep.
explain to me why you need D-ball in general.
Yeah, that's very fair, actually.
So it's like, yeah. So I told him, like, hey man, I'm not, like, because I mean, we know this, our athletes are a reflection of us,
Oh.
So if people don't know the backstory to some things, they see somebody's like, oh damn, Nick's guy has really bad gyno, he must push drugs hard. That's what people think that are not educated. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or they're like, oh, I can't believe Nick didn't tell him to get rid of that. I'm like, no, I did tell him to get rid of it. Okay. But he's a full-time Marine. He can't get the procedure yet. He's dealing with the VA insurance and all that stuff. He TRICARE. But I told him, like, hey man, he's got a good physique. I'm like, to do a national show, you're gonna get third call outs with that gyno, bro. It doesn't matter how good your back looks. That's the strongest body part on you. It doesn't matter.
Because it's just like something that just pops out. No matter how good your physique is, it's just there. You can have the best physique in the world, and like if you have gyno, you're probably going to get pushed down.
Dude, I mean, that's what they told William Bonac almost 3 years ago. They're like, hey, fix your gyno, bro. Like, you need to fix that. Otherwise, you're not going to be placing top 10 anymore. You know?
Exactly.
So
Well, so nobody doing USAs?
nobody doing USAs. Nobody doing USAs. I got one guy right now, a physique guy that has a really good shot at going pro at NPC Nationals. So I'm really excited for him. He is, dude, some of these healthcare workers, man, prepping these healthcare workers is insane. Like, he is I forgot the exact title, but he's an ER nurse something. I don't know. ER nurse. Is it a nurse practitioner, honey? No, like, if you're an ER nurse? You're just an ER nurse. Yeah, but he does like 15, 16-hour days. But his physique just keeps looking better and better, and it's so freaking sick. So, but yeah, man, it's kind of slowed down here now. Next year's gonna be a busy year for me, though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Mike has what? Mike, you have 4 people doing universe?
Yeah, I got 4.
Holy shit! What divisions?
2 men's physique, 1 wellness, and then 1 classic.
Nice. Is it
Saturday?
How long have you been coaching them?
The men's physique, one of the men's physique, he's my first ever athlete, actually, which is
wow.
The other men's physique, he was 16 weeks out. And this is his first, or we just did his first show a couple weeks ago.
Wait, was that the guy that you posted that transformation of where his back pose just completely changed? That white dude?
Yeah.
Bro, good job with him, man.
Yeah. No, I'm really proud of him too, but like, it's tough, dude. Like, taking a first time competitor, it's like we're doing a national show, dude. He never weighed a gram of food in his life.
I know.
It was like I'm not talking bad about him. He's phenomenal, but it's like, dude, there's a lot to learn from like not weighing a gram of food to like following a fucking prep plan. So, but he looks good. I'm excited for him. Wellness girl, 1.5 years, and then the other classic guy, 2 years now.
Nice.
Yeah,
do you think you're gonna be walking home? You got a good chance. Obviously, we can't control who shows up, but you got a good chance of getting some pro cards.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Taylor's seen how they all look. I think they all have a shot. So
nice.
I think. Obviously, we know it depends on who shows up and stuff. I don't want people to, watch this and be like, "Oh, he's just fucking biased," whatever. I genuinely, honestly think that he could have 2 to 3 overalls.
Nice.
Like that's unbiased.
That's
and
awesome.
That'll be. So I mean, enough so that I'm going up there to because I know something great's gonna happen, so I'm going to stay with him, and I'm posing Luke too. So it'll just be better to be there in person. And with Mike having freaking people going on 3 days in a row, like if he's at the show and needs some, a second eye or whatever, then I know I have never had 4 people doing one national show before, but I'm sure that it's fucking
I
stressful.
do.
So
I have very good luck with. I'm scared. I don't even want to say Taylor. I want to say Brandon. I've did 5 national shows. 3 of them Brandon was there. I've won a pro card at every single one. Brandon was there, and I lost the ones he wasn't there. So I'm like, I'm scared to do a show without him.
100%, dude. Oh yeah, he did mention that he was going to be going to Universe. That's right. So yeah, that's awesome, dude. He gosh, I love Brandon. He's hilarious.
He's
amazing.
What's that?
He was staying with me last night. He left.
Oh really?
Yeah, he films a guy in Port St. Lucie where I'm at.
Oh yeah,
last night.
Yeah, that's right. He did mention he was traveling out there.
I talked to him. USA's he's gonna do a really cool like storyline kind of documentary vlog of like me and Parker's journey for us. It's gonna be, I can't wait for that. It's gonna be sick. He's coming out to USA's with us.
That's gonna be awesome, dude. I really want to get, well, there's this one guy. He used to be coached by Beef Stew. That him and I have been talking. He reached out to me a few weeks ago. Man, some of these, just money in bodybuilding is really fucking tough, dude. But he's an open guy. He's a super heavyweight, and if I showed you the photos of him, you both would probably recognize him. He was really close last year at North Americans, but I just want a big fucking bodybuilder to prep for North Americans. Like, dude, just that the North Americans just screams open bodybuilding for me, and I want to do it so bad.
I got one for nationals. Just if you, I haven't like said anything yet because we're literally like not even first check-ins have happened yet. So if you edit this, just cut it out because I don't want it. It's like he doesn't want the pressure. I picked up Chris Hester.
Really?
Yeah. So that's gonna be fucking. If as long as everything goes well, it's gonna be fucking. I'm really wanting that to go through.
This was at 1:20. Okay, cool. I just want to look at him, dude, because
I'll mark it. Raging Silverback. That's how. I'm sure you know as you. Yeah.
Bro, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. He so he worked with Neil Hill was his first coach ever. Then he worked with Cam.
Yep.
And then he worked with Dom Super Slice, and they did USA's in 2022. Or no, they were supposed to. They did the Chicago Pro as a regional, the NPC part of it, and then he wasn't going to be ready for USA, so he pulled out. Obviously, Brandon Barrow was doing it. Beef Stew turned pro there. Cole Eastbold turned pro there. Like all of those guys were there, so he pulled out because he knew he wasn't going to be ready. And then the internet, bro, just fucking bashed him like really, really bad. So it fucked with his mental really bad, and he just hasn't bodybuilded since. Like he still trains and stuff, but he just like stopped working with his coach and like just been doing things on his own. Went through some relationship stuff, and we have a mutual friend, and he like, he had posted something on his story about he was trying to prep again. So like he was like, who wants to coach me or something? And our mutual friend talked to him and was like, hey bro, like you should really think about giving Taylor a chance, obviously you worked with some big names, but like he's the real deal, whatever. So then we got on a call and we clicked well. Obviously you're gonna cut this, but I think he's been going through some like family stuff or something. I don't know. He hasn't checked in yet. We started like what, Mike, a week and a half ago or something, and he hasn't sent a check in yet. So I'm praying, I'm crossing my fingers that like everything goes good with it and like he's still good. But yeah,
I just know him to be from the interactions I've had with him one-on-one, and online. He's a solid dude.
Dude, he's so like humble. Like when we were talking on the phone, he's just like so laid back, humble. He doesn't even want. I don't even think he wants people to know that he's doing nationals because he just doesn't want that pressure again. Like last prep, he had like Muscle and Strength came and made a YouTube video of him, and you know how that goes. Like it's
Just
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. That's what he said. He was like, you know, if the look is crazy at like 2 weeks out, then we can post something. But if not, like I don't want people to know that I'm even prepping.
No, not at all, man. Dude, that's gonna be really good. I'll make sure to cut this out. So I'll cut it
Yeah.
right there. But
Here, I'll add another marker.
yeah, sweet. Appreciate that. But yeah, man, we have all three of us got a lot of people coming up this year, which is really exciting, man. Really, really exciting.
So,
But
well,
anyway,
boys, we can wrap it up here.
for sure, man. Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Anybody
Guys.
if anybody can find you, Mike, where can they find you?
My Instagram is at Mike_Nassif. My email is mike@camp-jansen.com.
Brilliant, absolutely. Other than that, Taylor, people know where to find you. I think we need to put our Instagrams in our YouTube bio or whatever.
Yeah, we do. I can get our YouTube bio fixed up and everything.
Sweet. Sounds good, man.
Cool.
Well, everybody, that was episode 3 of the podcast. It was more of just a bro chat today, but we also covered a lot of stuff. Hope you guys learned something. Please subscribe, because YouTube is the type of program where they don't push us in any algorithm unless you subscribe, like the video. Leave a comment. Even if you hate us, leave a comment, because we will love to see it. We'll respond to it. So other than that, everybody, appreciate you for tuning in, and you'll see us in episode 4. Peace.
See you, boys.